Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A very warm welcome and good afternoon from Islamabad Policy Institute. In January this year, Brookings Institute published a paper titled Terrorism in Pakistan has declined, but the underlying roots of extremism remain. According to the South Asia Terrorism Portal, Pakistan witnessed only 319 terrorism related incidents in 2020 last year. It was a near tenfold decline than 2013, when nearly 4,000 terror-related incidents had taken place. But unfortunately, all that stands reversed. In the ongoing year, when there are still 3 months to go, Pakistan has already experienced highest attacks in 4 years. No one had imagined a few months back that the resurgence of Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan could again pose grave security challenges to the authorities in Islamabad. We have been observing a gradual uptick in the violence perpetrated by TTP in the recent months, a trajectory which gained momentum in the aftermath of the Taliban seizure of power in neighboring Afghanistan. Today's event is taking place in the context of the Taliban's victory in Afghanistan and its fallouts to the region, particularly emboldening of banned anti-Pakistan outfits and resurgence of TTP. The title of our today's webinar is therefore Change in Afghanistan, Potential Resurgence of TTP. As a researcher myself, I have observed how paralyzing the fear of TTP's rise has been for the policymakers in Pakistan. So, in order to bring out unique perspectives that help us better understand this emanating threat, its underlying causes and practical recommendations for tackling it, we are joined by senior security experts and academicians today. Without any further delay, I would like to begin our today's event. I would request Executive Director IPI, Professor Sajjad Bukhari, to formally begin the program with his keynote speech. Professor Sajjad Bukhari.
Lieutenant General Asif Yasin Malik, Ahmed Anwar Sohail, Dr. Rashid Ahmed. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you all to today's webinar organized by the Islamabad Policy Institute. I'm grateful to the esteemed panelists for sparing time to be with us this afternoon. I wish to appreciate my team as well for their efforts in bringing together esteemed experts to share their insights on the issue that is relevant for Pakistan internal security and foreign policy. Ladies and gentlemen, Afghanistan, our neighboring, Afghanistan, our western neighbor, has experienced a profound change with the departure of American forces from Afghanistan and ascendancy of Taliban. Meanwhile, the US-backed Ghani government and American-trained military collapsed within weeks. As a result, Taliban took over Kabul without a fight on August 15. 6 weeks later, Taliban have announced an interim cabinet, while regional countries have enhanced their mutual coordination and also engaged with Taliban with peace and stability in Afghanistan and the region. Meanwhile, with ascendancy of Taliban, Pakistan is faced with an elevated threat of resurgence of Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan (TTP). Right-wing extremist group within Pakistan are seeking inspiration from Taliban's victory in Afghanistan. Consequently, the character of militancy in Afghanistan and the region will undergo a gradual change. Ladies and gentlemen, after decisive military operations, Pakistan Army degraded the presence of TTP in the tribal region and demolished its operational network. TTP militant crossed over to Afghanistan and took refuge in the eastern provinces of Afghanistan, which are bordering Pakistan. TTP has been reorganizing itself since December 2019. Release of its top commanders from the prisons in Afghanistan after Taliban's victory, after Taliban took over, held it further. According to the United Nations UN report published in February 2021, TTP has regained strength and its fighting cadre ranges between 2,500 to 6,000 members. Over past 3 months, we have witnessed renewed campaign of violence by the TTP inside Pakistan. Besides, TTP has managed to operate in new locations through forming linkages with groups such as Balochistan Liberation Army, BLA. Meanwhile, TTP has also diversified its targets by attacking Chinese citizens and project sites to the detriment of Pakistan. Now, TTP chief Nur Wali Mahsood and one of their senior leader Fakir Muhammad had pledged allegiance to the Afghanistan Taliban. This might constrain the ability of Afghan Taliban to take measures against TTP under Pakistani pressure. As these challenges emerge, Pakistani policymakers are faced with a delicate and difficult situation. I'm confident our speakers today will make actionable recommendations, which I will put together in a document and share with the relevant stakeholders. I thank you.
Very much, Professor Sajjad Bukhari, for your welcome speech. Now, to proceed ahead, I would like to introduce our panelists for today. Our guests still did not require an introduction yet, but I would still briefly introduce our worthy panelists to set our today's event in motion. Our first panelist is Dr. Rashid Hussain, who holds a PhD in International Relations. His work on ethno-nationalism, ethno-religious political conflicts, and South Asian politics has been published in national and international journals. Currently, he heads Peace and Conflict departments as assistant professor. His notable works on the Taliban transformation of Pashtun nationalism into religious nationalism and changing dynamics of US-Haqqani relationship make him very relevant for today's discussion. With this brief introduction of Dr. Rashid, I would request him to please present his insights for us. Dr. Rashid.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mubin, for giving me the opportunity. And thank you very much, IPI, for giving me the opportunity to speak on this subject. Uh, in 2007, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan emerged as one of Pakistan's deadliest militant organization, maintaining close ties with Al Qaeda, Afghan Taliban, and a host of other militant groups. The TTP marked Pakistan's landscape with one of the bloodiest terrorist attacks in the country's history. A few I'll discuss with you. First was the most notorious, that was an assault on Pakistan Navy's largest air base in 2011. Then in 2014, it attacked on Jinnah International Airport. Then in 2014, again, a massacre of Army Public School in Peshawar that resulted into the killing of 150 students. All were students. However, after the Operation Zarb-e-Azab, its power started declining, and in 2016, what we saw that it became almost non-functional. But recently, there is increase in TTP's capacity or activities that gives an impression that the group desires to consolidate its base and reinvigorate its violent campaign. Now, what are the signs of resurgence of TTP, which we can notice from 2019 to 2012, 2021? First was that during 2018, during the national elections in Pakistan, TTP conducted a series of attacks over the politicians. Then there were increase of attacks in 2019 to 2020 in erstwhile FATA and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. However, the casualty rate was very less. Conversely, in last 6 months of 2020, the TTP was responsible for more than 100 cross-border attacks from Afghanistan but the main target was the Pakistani security forces and police, yet the fatalities were less. Nevertheless, since 2021, TTP's activity has increased significantly. For example, in February 2021, they killed 4 female development workers in North Waziristan. Then 2 police officers were killed in March 2021 in Islamabad and Rawalpindi, and their assassination was linked to the TTP. Then in April 2021, TTP attacked over a hotel in Quetta, and it indicated the TTP's interest to expand operation beyond Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, or to project its capability beyond Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The TTP has also renewed effort to exploit pre-existing grievances among the population of Pakistan, as the IPI president has said that they are trying to getting closer to BLA as well. In 2019 December, they featured a series of interviews in by projecting a video in that the people were complaining about the state. That was just a propaganda video. In assessing the threat posed by TTP, it is important to not to overlook the splinter groups that TTP is trying to reintegrate into it, that is Hizb ut-Tahrir and Jamaatul Ahrar, Hizbul Ahrar and Jamaatul Ahrar. And TTP's attempt to reintegrate this faction back into the core group, that is a bigger threat for Pakistan right now. Jamaatul Ahrar was formed in 2014 under the leadership of Umar Khalid Khorasani, who was later on killed in 2017. It is believed to operate in the area straddling between Afghanistan and Pakistan border. Both Jamaatul Ahrar and Hizbul Ahrar have been responsible for highly deadly attacks in Pakistan that are surpassing the TTP's level of activity in recent years. For example, Jamaatul Ahrar cooperated with Islamic State of Khorasan in at least 9 attacks between 2015 and 2018 that killed around 219 persons. In August 2020, Umar Media, that is the media group of TTP, that announced that Jamaatul Ahrar and Hizbul Ahrar both were reintegrating into TTP That was, and they also came under the leadership of Noor Wali, who is the leader of TTP currently. This announcement came on the heels of TTP's announcement in 2020 regarding merger. Another sign of TTP's revival has been its renewed use of intimidation of the local population of North Waziristan. In August 2019, it began to emerge that TTP militants were forcing the population not to listen to music in the bordering areas with Afghanistan, and warning the ladies not to go out of their houses without a male member. These developments have reinforced concern that a potential TTP resurgence as the group seems intent on rebuilding its operational activity and capacity by consolidating various factions and groups. Now, it has developed regional alliances with various groups for that, just to project its capability. First is the Afghan Taliban, then our Al Qaeda, and then ISKP. I'll discuss each and every group briefly. Afghan Taliban's victory in Afghanistan is being emulated or idealized by TTP as well. We call it the diffusion of a conflict. So it's a diffusion of a conflict. Even TTP had started idealizing the Doha Peace Conference as well, when the US and Taliban both had signed a peace agreement. And at that time, TTP wanted that it was aligned with Afghan Taliban. So it projected a video in April 2020 that was Abdul Amat, Heroes of Nation, commemorating Hakimullah Masood and Noor Wali, sitting with Mullah Sangin Zadran, a key Haqqani Taliban commander. And one of the interpretation of this video was to project its close relation with the Afghan Taliban. For TTP, remaining aligned with Afghan Taliban allows it to capitalize the widespread support which it can get from the tribal districts of Afghanistan as well and Pakistan as well, and its legitimacy as well. And other than that, it can also use the resources and support from these areas. The future relationship between TTP and the Afghan Taliban could unfold several ways. Number one, that is possible that the Afghan Taliban might pressurize TTP not to carry out operations in Pakistan or to curtail their operations in Pakistan. But however, it will have a negative effect, because in that way TTP will again disintegrate into various splinter groups, as we have seen in past. Jamaatul Ahrar had split from TTP and joined ISKP. If but what I have noticed in recent months, that Afghan Taliban are trying to avoid or they are trying to play a neutral part between TTP and Pakistani state. Reason is that the TTP has been carrying out operations for Afghan Taliban. If you remember, there was a gentleman named Ustad Yasser who has been commanding the TTP during the hit and run operation going on the NATO convoys. Hakimullah Masood was one of their soldiers as well. So as a gratitude, I believe that Afghan Taliban may not pressurize them. So if they remain neutral, then TTP will have again safe havens in Afghanistan. That can become a big issue for Pakistan. Now, Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda, it has had very close relations with TTP as the ex-Taliban regime was obliterated in 2001. Then Al Qaeda and Afghan Taliban, many Taliban, they fled from Afghanistan and they entered into Pakistan. And the people living in the bordering areas that later on became TTP as well, they became their hosts, and they attained material resources as well and ideology as well. We know that when a rebel or refugee moves from the conflict zone to the other country, then they take with them arms, ideologies, and combatants. So that happened. Yet the main mother organization, which is very closer to TTP, that is Islamic State of Khorasan. Emerging in Afghanistan region, Pak-Afghan region in 2014-15, Islamic State unleashed a wave of propaganda and violence that characterized by Islamic State's trademark, that is takfiri, that anybody from out group is considered to be apostate or non-believer or anti-nationalist agenda. Initially, there seemed to be possibility of wholesome alignment of TTP with Islamic State of Khorasan when 6 of its commanders they joined Islamic State. However, later on it was revealed that it was a split in TTP, and a few commanders had joined Islamic State. The vast majority of Islamic State amirs have been affiliated with TTP. We know the name of Hafiz Saeed Khan, a native of Orakzai district in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and former TTP commander as well. So keeping this thing in mind, we can see that these groups both are natural ally to each other, though their ideology may be different, yet they have never clashed with each other. There are 4 key characteristics of TTP that stand out as the most dangerous attributes. Number 1, it's evolving nature. Number 2, it's resolve to revive itself. Then potential appeal or message to the aggrieved population, and its immersion within the broader militant landscape. In order to undermine the appeal of TTP's ideology and constrain his propaganda, Pakistan government will have to find out other ways than that of the kinetic operation. But I do not mean that Pakistani state should negotiate with TTP, because TTP does not pose an existential threat to the state. Besides that, if Pakistan will negotiate with TTP, then it will give us juridical sovereign status to this militant group, which does not give a significant or does not pose a significant threat to the state. So this is all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your insights. We talked about many important things about the issue, like TTP attempts to extend its operation beyond KP in recent days, and how this had forged links with BLA and other splinter groups, and then different characters of TTP's closeness with Islamic State of Khorasan, and then how it doesn't pose existential threat and state should not. Now we'll move to our next speaker, Mr. Rana. Mr. Amir Rana is renowned defense analyst. He is currently heading Park Institute for Peace Studies as its director. Mr. Rana writes profusely on proxy wars, non-traditional security threats, terrorism, and geostrategic issues. So I would request him to please present his insights on the issue.
Thank you, but not a sorry. So I just commented, I offered comment on the security issue. I was winding out online. And thank you very much, Professor Jan Parisa, for this information here. Like very useful insights whenever I visit the Islam Institute. I think it was a good beginning, and projections we made that PDP towards escalation of terrorism, despite this is not going to be to any major trend for so this statement can be contested to statistics which are but this is true that the GDP cannot gain the same status which it was enjoying before 2014, and with multiple reasons, include appeal of the GDP narrative being lost over the time. It goes to the security forces, status networks and for region with Afghanistan. Then there was the defense ISK we mentioned. This was another reason which has weakened the TTP and Al Qaeda in force Al Qaeda forms a separate chapter for the region. So this is assessing the level of the threat. I think this is quite important. What we are heading they are not undermining the threat the TTP can pose in the future. Um, or especially there's a two factor which is need to be one is that they have transformed their political narrative. And now TTP is not talking about the global jihad, and neither is talking about the Islamic Revolution in Pakistan. Is more mainly focusing on that its major objective is establishing the Islamic Emirates or the similar capital of Taliban in tribal areas of Pakistan. And all the details and Magna Carta, their design can be assessed through the recent publication by Taliban from Travis Dassoud, how he elaborated the design, picked out the rules of this Emirates, 18th, 17th century. This is raises one question that either this does it be conceived that TTP operations are also going to be confined to Pakistani country, or you can continue launching the attacks all across the country. And since 2008, this is one of the major actor of the instability. And it has outreach all across the country. This is, I think, very carefully needed to be evaluated. The kind of operation strategies we will see in the future. And second, that when it disconnect this organization to the sectarian landscape in Pakistan, this particularly very close ally of violent sectarian activism. And this is also, I think, the need to be assessed that I this new transformation will help TTP evolve in a deeper relationship with Taliban. But these are the questions we really have to answer. And, then there is a threat of the ISP. ISP mainly confining operations are separate ones. That are this is not going to be making threat at the level that is being as and this all these assessment, I think, should be a time. The reason that the nature of the terrorist organization continue changing their tactics. We continue in the use of the life of every terrorist organization is the traction listen. Whenever any organization gets traction or its narrative, the message becomes attractive, it becomes alive again. And we have seen the different even to almost that movement is suddenly big and came to be big. I think in recent there need to be evaluated to capabilities, operation capabilities. This should be the on the theoretical basis. I think the capability, the operation capability, should be evaluated. And see that from where this source of narrative is coming. Taliban thing, or they have continued the local forces, or another similar movement across the world, which are gaining somehow are. So this is all the factor I think. I think this is right now the issue, right? Where is that I think the state is focusing mainly on the effect, which is caused by the groups after 2015, or the state is trying to capitalize more the gains it gained through the Taliban victory on geopolitical landscape. Apparently seems that the priority of the state is to capitalize more on the gains, the advantages it can gain out of the Taliban takeover. And in this context, the threat of the TTP or ISK it may not be even a big threat. And the threat perception of the security institutions in Pakistan remains that we can afford the lesser evil if this is going to be give you a major advantage, especially in geostrategic. We have seen that even the Taliban have cooperated with Pakistan during the 50s. Whenever we talk about the Lashkar Jhani terrorist networks which were watching their under the protection patronage of the Taliban. And we can anticipate the similar attitudes, the behavior of the Taliban, or even this very much clear about the statements. They are not coming up with very much clear policy statements about the TTP and few other things. We know that there is also the Taliban know that these groups, ISK, Al-Qaeda, TTP, PTIM, TIP, all these groups are bargain tools in their hand. The PTIM, they can talk with China, they channel, communication channel can remain open with China unless the PTIM are in the one. IS, of course, is very concerned with States, Iran, and Soviet Union. They will like to be engaged Taliban to make communicated. For Pakistan, want to be join this club that Pakistan has similar threat from the conflict actors and other close allies in this region, facing the threat from the distant. Again, in the broader context, Pakistan is capitalizing, focusing on geostrategic land. I'm not sure whatever what actually the Pakistan want to achieve, apart from that the backyard being cleared um, by the Taliban. Less chances that they will allow India to come back again. Is it the only advantage Pakistan wants to take? Or Pakistan has any longer term interest in the region? We heard a lot about all these transmission mega projects, IPI, CASA, the stability in Afghanistan, um, make it possible that all these transmission projects will be executed. And it will give Pakistan edge in East Asia. It will be energy transit, and it will give Pakistan a strategic edge in this region. This is these are the conclusions, how we can make it possible. or this is only. These are, I think, the context. And the biggest challenge which Pakistan is facing is not the TTP, but the attitudes of the Taliban. And you know that the Taliban are not as pro-Pakistan, or if I may say, very gently, that they are not the proxy of Pakistan, are basically looking for the Pakistani sports until they will not get to open new channels or political diplomatic assistance for other actors in the region. The reason that for many of the Taliban fighters, their sport base is as uh, uh, what, good faith, I can't say the anti-Pakistan sentiments they hold, and we share the same sentiments with the other nationals. This makes Pakistan case bit complicated. And even if you look at the certain media reports, the statements which are coming, the social media is full of these reports. Maybe some segment within the Taliban leadership are fed up. The advices um, um, from Pakistan. So this is how they will behave in future. This is the biggest challenge for Pakistan. Capitalizing on advantages. Um, But how Pakistan will sustain it? Everybody is talking about the other threats like extremism. This is all being managed. And Pakistan is our this threat. We are right now. Influence of really success in what Pakistan has achieved so far. This is the few initial thoughts and few strong statements I have made in my introduction. So next thing,
Thank you very much, Mr. Amir, presenting his insights. He has talked about how community has lost over the time and they should look into different operational capabilities of the BTP, and there is a dire need to see the source of the sport participants. Thank you very much, sir, for your insights. Now we will move to our next speaker. Our panel is raised by Lieutenant General Asif Yasin Malik Sahab, who has served as Pakistan's Defense Secretary. Generally, has also acted in a joint capacity by serving as Director General Joint Intelligence and Information Operations in the Joint Staff Headquarters and a Director General Inter-Services Intelligence. He is one of the most experienced and fitting persons to speak about the rise of BTP, as its last assignment was in command of 11 Corps, one of the largest corps ever, comprising of over 150,000 troops, spearheading the stabilizing operations in Fata and K. I would request Lieutenant General Asif Yasin Malik Sahab to give his insights on the issue.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I thank IPI for giving me this opportunity to be part of this very timely activity pertaining to not only Pakistan, regional, rather the global landscape. I would say that Afghanistan today is the most happening place around the globe. There is no news, there is no news without mention of Afghanistan, be it a superpower or be it a small country somewhere in Central Asia or Europe. I will try to explain the perspective, my perspective about TTP's resurgence, possibility of its resurgence, threatening Pakistan's internal stability. First of all, let us go to the relationship of TTP with Afghanistan. Uh, Basically, TTP emerged in the post 9/11 scenario where the Afghan Mujahideen who had fought against the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan transformed themselves into a new force or a new nomenclature of a force called as Tehreek-e-Taliban Afghanistan. Some people say this concept had come from Pakistani Madaris. I tend to partly disagree. The Madaris are in both the parts of the Pashtun belt of Pakistan as well as Afghanistan. So therefore, totally lumping it, the concept of Taliban on Pakistan was a bit unfair. Now, seeing the Taliban emerge in Afghanistan and fighting the Americans, there was a group of right-wing people led by Mullah Fazlullah and his team and some others in North and South Pakistan who sought an opportunity to create the same concept of enforcing Sharia in Pakistani territory. First of all, in FATA, erstwhile FATA, and then SWAP, and then on and on and on. So therefore, that is how the first sort of conceptual base of TTP was laid down based on the Afghan Taliban concept. Now, they started all this activity from 2003-4 onward, and there were a lot of activities by Pakistani security forces, lot of agreements, and lot of small-scale operations. To be very candid, before 2008, no major sizable operation took place in any of the agencies of erstwhile FATA against TTP. In fact, there was as we say, a mixed sort of a response, or if I would dare to say, Urdu, a mila jula rujan of talking and fighting, which to me is a wrong concept. And we suffered for it. And in the process, the Taliban, the TTP spread its wings to Swat and Bunair and Shangla areas. Now, this was a strategic move on their part. First of all, the people of Swat were very peace-loving people. You would not find them carrying weapons, and violence was not in their DNA. So therefore, they were vulnerable to threats of, force and violence by the militants. The other issue was that we are talking today of China. I think they were seeing China at that point in time. Going to Shangla and Bunair was threatening the KKH, the route from China to Pakistan. There was no CPEC at that time. There was nothing. But yet they were moving in that direction. And this gave a major fillip to the TTP activities in FATA also. Now, the Pakistani state launched a security operation in Swat, but somewhere middle of that operation, the government decided to negotiate with the Taliban in Swat and Mullah Fazlullah and party, and there was a negotiation carried out in which the Pakistani state succumbed to the ideas of that group and sort of gave it up. Now, as a consequence of that, that dialogue or that peace component or time of peace, the TTP elements in Swat, they started killing the informers and those who were suspected of informing them. They started burning schools, especially girls' schools, etc. So there was a massive fillip to this movement as a consequence of Swat. And the world media started talking of, Taliban being 60 miles or 100 kilometers from Islamabad. So that was sort of a, flag raising for the TTP that the world was talking about it. So in that whole environment, they also created trouble in the strike agencies plus Chitral. Now, as a consequence of that, the stance of dialogue was given up and a major operation was started somewhere in 2008. And this operation, um, took speed and momentum with the induction of sizable forces. And as was brought out, by the time 2010-11 came, we had over 160,000 troops in that area. So that was happening. And this major operations continue in all parts except North Rajasthan from 2008 to 2013. And along with that, there was a launch of a winning of hearts and minds project, in which development projects and de-radicalization projects were also started. So there was a very comprehensive approach towards all of this by the Pakistani state and security. Now, 2014, when the Army Public School was attacked, was the turning point. And let me also say that it was not that the security forces were not going into North Rajasthan. It was planned as a part of a sequential movement. So, but when APS happened, that sequential movement was brought nearer and the clearance of North Rajasthan was started forthwith. And while in the rest of the areas of the country as a whole, extending from Karachi to Islamabad to Ahmedabad and all those areas, intelligence-based operations were launched across the country so that a wholesome response could be generated against the TTP and their ability to spread the violence out of Pata and out of Swat and Baner to rest of the country had to be curbed and in fact had to be decimated, and which was decimated. Now, as all this was happening, there was a porous border and there was a welcoming environment in Afghanistan in those days. So most of the TTP leadership started to cross over into Afghanistan, barring some leaders who were residing in parts of North Rajasthan or some areas in South Rajasthan. Now, going into Afghanistan was granting them or was helping them the patronage of NDS, RAW, as well as Western intelligence agencies. Now, this was a very sort of encouraging environment for the TTP, that having suffered major setbacks in the Pakistani territory, they could find refuge, not only refuge, they could find funding and assistance, medical aid and all that in parts of Afghanistan. And as a state, Afghanistan was helping them. Now, fencing was a major turning point also in the TTP operation in Pakistan, which was started, if I'm not wrong, somewhere in 2018. And as we speak, about 90% of the territory has been fenced. When we say 90%, we must remember that the entire border is not or does not require fencing. There are places which are 14,000, 15,000 feet high. So the crossing operations by either the Taliban or any terrorist is a very difficult operation. So we have generally fenced areas which are likely to be used for trans-border crossing. However, at the end of the day, I think all of it would be fenced. And when I say fencing, it is not only a physical fence, it is monitored, guarded, and sort of reacted if it is breached or something. Now, after the fence was there, then the merger of FATA with the settled area was a major step, which to my assessment was also a setback for TTP, that there was a change in the whole environment in the tribal areas, federally controlled tribal areas. Apart from that, there was a massive induction of funds, which to my assessment did not take place as intended, And there was 1,000 billion rupees package announced by the government. But as things are, it is, I think, it is stuck in the quagmire of bureaucratic procedures and all that. Yet there was some money brought into it. Now, all this was happening, the Taliban, the TTP was also looking at its narrative, and it was trying to, acquire the narrative from IS and others. Because earlier the narrative was enforcement of Sharia in Pakistani parts. But now they were going towards the, as brought out by the earlier speakers also, go towards more of a global footprint and talking about the Islamic Emirates. Now, effects of the recent Tehreek-e-Taliban Afghanistan takeover. First of all, it is a major psychological boost for not only the TTP, but the larger landscape of right-wing people in Pakistan, and not only, I would say not only in Pakistan, in other parts of the world also, that if a group of ragtag soldiers can, if I may say, kick out a coalition, the largest coalition ever assembled of 45 countries, then those groups in their respective countries would always pressurize their own states and its forces. So therefore, they got a major fillip after the 15th August event. But 15th August should not be taken as the event, because Tehreek-e-Taliban Afghanistan was controlling almost 60% of the Afghan territory for the last 4 years. It was only after the accord that they started moving forward and slow, and just like the flow of a water or a liquid, they silently got into the valleys and hills of Afghanistan and kept enhancing their influence. And that is the reason that they just walked into Kabul on 15th of August. Now, this all that had a major fillip for these for the TTP. Now, coming up to the talked about activities or the incidents in Pakistan during the last, let's say, about 6 months. In my opinion, in my own assessment also, this was a surge of TTP along with the other groups operating in Afghanistan to show the resolve or to influence the decision-making of people who were fence-sitters in the support base of the Taliban. So therefore, I think, in my opinion, unless something drastically bad happens in Pakistan or people go to sleep, this may be the highest level of terrorism that we have seen in the recent years, and with the passage of time, it may go down. Now, coming over to the TTA government, which I sort of have stopped calling it a Taliban government, it's an Afghan government. And because we don't call Mr. Biden as a Democrat president or the Prime Minister as a Tory Prime Minister in UK, so why should we call it a Taliban government? We should call it the government of Afghanistan. For all practical purposes, they are the government of Afghanistan. So the government of Afghanistan has made largely a blanket statement about the use of the Afghan soil for influencing activities in their neighboring countries. Or rather, they made a larger claim of anywhere in the world that they would not like. In my opinion, it was a very diplomatic statement with no concrete angle to it. And I think we had somewhere the Pakistani government had been asking them to make a specific commitment to TTP, which so far they have refused. Now, this is an alarming thing. about which we should not go off our screen, and I'll talk about it a little bit later. Now, a bit about the Western design for Afghanistan and Pakistan. In my opinion, the Western system has suffered the biggest defeat in its whole existence. And as people are talking, every empire has its fall. I would not term it as the fall of the empire, but I think it is a fall of an ideology which was being forced on the people of Afghanistan. And somebody was saying the American way of life, and somebody was saying of parliamentary democracy and whatnot. So it was all to force the Afghan to live a life which was not theirs for thousands of years. So now what has happened is this setback has happened, and as people say, they are licking their wounds. So what do they want for Afghanistan now? In my opinion, they want, first of all, they would like to prove that the Taliban or the present Afghan government are incapable of ruling Afghanistan. And that could happen with instability in Pakistan. And the more instability, imagine now after what, today is 20 days or 30 days, 20 days after the takeover in Kabul, the country is running short of food, it's running short of medicines, and as winters are approaching, it may be running short of clothing even. So what were they doing for 20 years? Now today, if there is a famine in Afghanistan, there is a shortage of food or everything, rest assured it will be lumped on the present government for no fault of theirs. So therefore, there is an environment being created to project the present regime, the Taliban regime, to have failed. Now, the other issue is that the West would like Afghanistan to be destabilized in a manner that the interests of the regional countries, particularly Russia, Iran, and China, and Pakistan obviously is a common denominator, are not enhanced by a peaceful environment in Afghanistan. So therefore, all this suits the TTP also. Instability in Afghanistan is good news for TTP. And in this process, I would also say that supporting TTP from sleeper cells of intelligence agencies in Afghanistan could also be one of the happenings in the near future, so that that instability starts spilling over into Pakistan. And so Pakistan is unstable, so is Afghanistan. So it's all hunky-dory for the Western world. And the dreams of CPEC and Russia reaching warm waters and whatnot. And Iran also, very important that if in the backyard of Iran there is Afghanistan and there is instability in Afghanistan, Iran is likely to be suffering. Now let's come to the way forward. In my opinion, first of all, the most important thing is that we should keep the pressure on the Afghan government to handle the TTP. And in that, I would say that this, a flood of statements by every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the government, people who have no idea what is happening in Afghanistan, even ministers who have nothing to do with Afghanistan, they are making statements which is irritating the Afghan government. Imagine if somebody keeps on telling us every day and day in and day out what to do within our own country. So I think that must stop. Whereas behind closed doors, we must emphasize on the Afghan government to tackle the issue of TTP, not going against the interest of Pakistan. We have to put in place the stringent border control mechanisms because the security forces in Afghanistan, the Afghan National Security Forces, the NSF, have almost evaporated. So there is now a new team of people sitting on the border posts and crossing places. So they have to be sort of brought into the crossing mechanism. We have to reduce the overall environment in the border regions erstwhile FATA, now the districts of that area, to deny favorable environment for the operations of TTP. And there are two aspects. One is the physical aspect of carrying out operation. The other is socio-economic aspect. The earlier we had started forcing socio-economic projects in the district, the people will get involved in the economic activity and are less likely to be lured towards the terrorist agenda. We have to enhance in a meaningful way the interaction with the tribal leaders of that area. We must not forget that in spite of merging FATA into the settled area, the tribal culture remains there. And even in the settled areas, the Pakhtun tribal culture is today surviving. So we have to immediately go close to the tribal leadership. In my opinion, the most important step that has to be taken is announcement of local body elections in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa in general and the bordering districts in particular. I view that as a major activity which will keep the people away from TTP's agenda. If you understand, there'll be a political activity. All the political parties will go in. They will, take their members. They will put in money. They will talk. There'll be media over there. And then, if you see the local body structure, anybody and everybody who is now staying there, whether he's a tribal leader or whatever, will have a portion or a piece in the pie. If you see, there will be a union council president and there will be members of union council. And if I may say, in Urdu, har ghar ke bahar ek takhti lag jayegi, he is someone, somebody, there will be a district nazim, there will be a, whatever, tehsil nazim, and so many things would start happening. And a lot of people will start getting, sort of a value. They will be carrying a plate on their car or their house, or they'll have a fund at their disposal and all those. So I think that is very important that we should go for the local body election. We have to carry out serious intelligence-based operations and tackle the survivors of the erstwhile TTP who are now sort of coming out of the holes to join TTP, and they have to be crushed before they come out. Pakistan has also to very seriously enhance and speed up the regional group and connect, formally and negotiate the recognition of Afghanistan, because that will ensure stability in Afghanistan, and stability in Afghanistan and sort of confidence to the regime over there, the Taliban regime, if everybody calls it, would help them to stand up against the TTP. And in my opinion, if Afghanistan is recognized, the government is recognized, the country goes on as a group of sovereign nations, they will be in better position to take up a harder stance against TTP. And therefore, and during the negotiations by these countries, you see, everybody has an agenda over there. The Chinese have ETIN, the Russians also have those Tajik and Uzbek dissidents. Iran has issues, Pakistan. So all that could be part of the collective negotiations leading towards recognition. And last but not the least is to stabilize our own socio-economic landscape. Socio-economic turbulence and inequality is the breeding ground for organizations like Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. And unless we fill that vacuum, unless we, satisfy the population of the country, they will not have a place to go around. Thank you very much, sir. A very timely effort on part of IIT.
Thank you very much, sir, for comprehensively enlightening us about the historical aspects of the issue and drawing attention towards what is going on the ground. talked about different challenges, although it is not a fall of an empire, but a particle ideology which was foisted upon the people of Afghanistan. And then we have presented some very interesting and practical recommendations. Dr. Rashid had to take a class at 4 o'clock at National Defense University, so he had extended his apologies. So he could not continue. So we have received some questions. The first question we have received is from Ramir Ahmed Sahib. Mr. Usman of Qajar University is asking, Pakistan has over the years consistently reported lowering in number of attacks. How significantly has that trajectory been altered since August, and what is the expected trend going ahead?
Yeah, I think it's been discussed here. Before, Voice is clear. I'm trying to be a bit loud. Yeah, so I think this is a very serious trend which we are witnessing. And we have this as a factor behind the victory of the Taliban. Apart from the unification that happened in recent past, how they have reconnected with their sport base within Pakistan and other parts of the country. They had reconnected with the sectarian networks in Balochistan, specifically in Muslim and Khorasan. So this is, I think, this trend, I think, will continue. Another factor, I think, the military this is also provoking the terrorist attacks. I don't know what is the assessment behind. Maybe the our security institution thinking that they will continue challenge for the TTP leadership, targeting their leadership, launching operations against fighters. I think we provoke them and they will gradually spoil their resources. I don't know if this is the thinking, but somehow the military operations and the types of side by side. So far, we can't say that how much effective these are, but of course, this could be a part of the broader long-term strategy.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Neil Jyoti Saab has raised his hand. Give him the floor so he can take. Hello, sir, can you hear me?
मेरा माइक अभी ठीक हुआ है कि नहीं? मैं तो अनम्यूट करने की कोशिश हो गया जी। थैंक यू वेरी मच। अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मेरी आवाज़ उम्मीद है सबको आ रही होगी। मेरा ख्याल है आईपीआई ने बड़े अच्छे वक्त के ऊपर बड़े अच्छा टॉपिक जो है वो चुना है और बहुत शुक्रिया और बड़े अच्छे आपने मुकर्रर जो जिन्होंने बातचीत की है। आमिर राना साहब को मैं ज़्यादा साफ तरीके से नहीं सुन पाया, वो पता नहीं उनके माइक में कोई मसला था या बाकी दोनों साहिबान को मैंने सुना। बहुत शुक्रिया। मैं सिर्फ एक बात कहना चाहूँगा, मेरा सवाल नहीं है, एक कमेंट है। ये जो नेक्सस बनाया जाता है अफगान तालिबान और तहरीक तालिबान पाकिस्तान के दरमियान, इसके बारे में मैं एक बात ये कहना चाहूँगा कि ये बात दुरुस्त है कि इनके आपस में रिश्तेदारियाँ भी हो सकती हैं, ये एक कबीले के भी हो सकते हैं, ये एक इलाके के भी हो सकते हैं, लेकिन ये बात बिल्कुल और भी दुरुस्त है कि दोनों के मकासद बिल्कुल अलग अलग थे। अफगान तालिबान अपने फ्रीडम के लिए लड़ते रहे थ्रू आउट और उनके पास इतना टाइम नहीं था कि वो इस बात पे ज़्यादा गौर करते कि इन्होंने उनकी बैत कर ली है और ये क्या काम कर रहे हैं, बल्कि एक दो दफ़ा अगर आपको याद हो तो उन्होंने इनको मना भी किया है कि आप पाकिस्तान के ऊपर इस किस्म के हमले ना करें। और जो अफगान तालिबान है, इनके अहदाफ बिल्कुल मुख्तलिफ थे, इनको फंडिंग बिल्कुल मुख्तलिफ थी। इनको CIA फंड कर रहा था, इनको रॉ फंड कर रहा था, इनको NDS इनके साथ था, इनके लिए सारे वो प्लानिंग करते थे اور ان کو ہمارے اوپر باولے کتوں کی طرح چھوڑا ہوا تھا. تو یہ دونوں کو ملانے کی کوشش کرنا جو کہ ہمارا ایک خاص طبقہ اس لیے کوشش کرتا ہے کہ چونکہ ان کو افغان طالبان پسند نہیں ہے, شاید ان کو اشرف غنی افغان طالبان سے زیادہ بہتر لگتا تھا, تو وہ ان کے بوجھ میں ان کو بھی ساتھ لپیٹ لیتے ہیں. تو میرا اپنا یہ خیال یہ ہے کہ افغان طالبان نے جو وعدہ کیا ہے, اور وہ وعدہ صرف پاکستان کے ساتھ نہیں کیا ہے, انہوں نے چین کے ساتھ بھی کیا ہے کہ ای ٹی آئی ایم کو وہاں نہیں آپریٹ کرنے دیں گے, روس کے ساتھ کیا ہے کہ چیچن کو نہیں کرنے دیں گے, ایران کو کہا ہے کہ ہم ہزارہ کا خیال رکھیں گے, ہمیں انہوں نے کہا ہے کہ ان کو آپریٹ نہیں کرنے دیں گے. تو مجھے نہیں سمجھ آتی کہ اتنے زیادہ خدشات کا اظہار کیوں کیا جاتا ہے. ادھر جو جس بات کا خدشہ ہے اس پر بھی میں آتا ہوں کہ اصل خدشہ ہے کس بات کا. یہ جو میں باتیں کہہ رہا ہوں نا کہ یہ ان کے اہداف الگ تھے, ان کی فنڈنگ الگ تھی, ان کی ٹریننگ الگ تھی. آپ کے ساتھ بیٹھے ہوئے ہیں جنرل آصف یاسین, جو دونوں افغان طالبان سے بھی ڈیل کرتے رہے ہیں, تحریک طالبان پاکستان سے بھی ڈیل کرتے رہے ہیں, وہاں کے کور کمانڈر رہے ہیں. ان سے پوچھئے کہ میں جو بات کر رہا ہوں اگر اس میں کوئی غلطی ہے تو ضرور اس کو یہ پوائنٹ آؤٹ کریں. جس بات کا خدشہ ہے وہ میں آپ کو بتا دیتا ہوں. خدشہ ہے اس کی سپل اوور فلسفی کا. اگر افغان طالبان نے اپنے ملک میں انصاف دینا شروع کر دیا اور لوگوں کو نظر بھی آنا شروع ہو گیا, اور کوئی ایسے اچھے اقدامات کر دیے جس سے لوگوں کو تحفظ کا احساس ہو, اور ہماری جمہوریت یہ نہ کر سکی جو کہ نظر آ رہا ہے کہ ابھی تک تو نہیں کر پائی, یہ سب سے بڑا خطرہ ہے. تو وہ جو جنرل صاحب کچھ باتیں کر رہے تھے کہ ہمیں اپنے اندر, اور بھی رانا صاحب نے بھی کی ہوگی, اپنے ہمیں جو معاشرتی اور معاشی چیزوں کو سیدھا کرنے کی ضرورت ہے, اس کے اوپر توجہ دینے کی ضرورت ہے. میرا اپنا خیال یہ ہے کہ تحریک طالبان پاکستان کے لیے افغانستان کی سرزمین بہت تنگ ہو جائے گی آنے والے سالوں میں, آنے والے مہینوں میں, اور 6 مہینے اور 1 سال کا میں ٹائم دیتا ہوں میرے اپنے اندازے میں, اسیسمنٹ میں. آپ کو افغانستان سے اس طرف ان کی کوئی ایکٹیویٹی نظر نہیں آئے گی. ہاں البتہ کیونکہ امریکہ اور ہندوستان کا بڑا گہرا نیکسس ہے, اور ہمارا سمندری ساحل بھی بہت بڑا ہے, ایران کا بارڈر بھی ہے, تو اور جگہوں سے ان کی تقویت ہو سکتی ہے. یہ جو آپ کو پچھلے 2-3 مہینوں میں بہت زیادہ سپائک نظر آئی ہے, اس کی وجہ یہ تھی کہ جب ان کو پوری پلاننگ کے تحت را نے اور سی آئی اے نے ری آرگنائز کیا, اور یہ بلوچستان والے ایلیمنٹس اور یہ جو داعش اور آئی ایس آئی کے اور تحریک طالبان پاکستان کو جب ایک ان کو ملا دیا گیا تو ان کی پوٹینسی بہت بڑھ گئی. یہ اس کا شاخسانہ ہے ایک بات. اور دوسرا یہ آپ کو اور ہمیں یہ باور کروانا چاہ رہے ہیں کہ چونکہ ابھی افغان طالبان کے آنے کے باوجود اتنے حملے ہو رہے ہیں, تو اس کا مطلب یہ کہ وہ بھی ساتھ ملوث ہے, یعنی کہ یہ ایک رفٹ پیدا کرنا چاہ رہے ہیں افغان طالبان کی حکومت اور پاکستان کے درمیان. تو میرا خیال تھا کہ میں اس بات کی نشاندہی کر دوں کہ یہ جو چیزیں نظر آتی ہیں یہ اتنی سادہ نہیں ہے, اتنی سمپل نہیں ہے, ان میں بہت گہری گہری سازشیں شامل ہیں. بہت شکریہ.
Thank you very much, sir, for your comments.
بہت شکریہ صاحب, آپ نے یہ بات تو بالکل درست کی کہ اس کے جو اثرات ہوں گے اور جس قسم کا ایک انسپریشن آئے گی پاکستان سوسائٹی کے اندر اگر طالبان کامیاب ہوتے ہیں اسٹیبلٹی لانے میں اور امن لانے کے اندر. اگر نہیں بھی ہوتے تو آلریڈی انہوں نے انسپائر کرنا شروع کر دیا. بہت سارے یہاں پہ جو ریلیجیس قوتیں ہیں اور اسی قسم کے بہت سارے کام دیکھتے ہیں, اس میں ٹی ٹی پی بھی ہے. لیکن مجھے نہیں پتا جنرل آصف صاحب کا اور آپ کا کیا ایکسپیرینس ہے, آپ کے پاس کلاسیفائڈ انفارمیشن ہوگی, ساری کلیکشن ہوگی, لیکن چونکہ ہم اوپن سورس کے اوپر ہمارا سارا تجزیہ بیس کرتا ہے, اور اوپن سورسز کے اندر سارے جو ان کی طالبان کی پبلیکیشن ہیں اسی سے تو ہمیں اندازہ ہوتا ہے کہ یہ بالکل بھی الگ نہیں ہے, ایک ہی چیز ہے. انٹیلیجنس کیا کہتی ہے وہ آپ ضرور الیبوریٹ کیجیے. مثلاً شریعت جو رسالہ ہے افغان طالبان کا, اس نے کبھی بھی ٹی ٹی پی کو اپنے علاقہ نہیں سمجھا. آپ کو یاد ہوگا کہ جب حکیم اللہ محسود کے لیے تعزیت کی گئی طالبان کی طرف, ان کے جتنے بھی بڑے لیڈر لاکھ ہوتے رہے ڈرون حملوں میں یا آرمی کے آپریشن کے اندر, ان کی سب کی وچریز جو وہاں پہ چھپتے رہی, ان کے میسج آتے رہے طالبان کے. اور ابھی پچھلے سال اکتوبر میں افغان طالبان نے, جس کی طرف آپ اشارہ کر رہے تھے, کوڈ آف کنڈکٹ بھیجا ٹی ٹی پی کے لوگوں کو और जिसके बड़े क्रेडिबल एविडेंस है, जो मतलब ओपन सोर्स से पता चलते हैं। उन्होंने कहा कि कभी आप हमले रोके अलकायदा को नहीं, क्योंकि हम अभी मुज़ाकरात के मराहिल के अंदर हैं, और जिसको टीटीपी ने कहा कि हम इसको नहीं करेंगे, और उसके लिए फिर एक कमेटी बनाई गई जिसके अंदर कुछ तालिबान रहनुमा और कुछ टीटीपी के रहनुमा थे कि जी आप फैसला करें। और उसके अंदर फिर तालिबान की तरफ से ये आया कि हम टीटीपी को, जो कि हमारी ब्रादर इस्लामी तहरीक है, उसके जो अहदाफ हैं, उसका जो दायरा कार है, उसमें मुदाखलत करने का हक नहीं रखते। ये बहुत ही वाज़ेह तरीके से उन्होंने कहा, लेकिन हम उन्होंने गुजारिश उनसे की कि चूंकि अमारत इस्लामी, और दोनों का दावा अमारत का है, तो ये सारी की चीजें बहुत ही सरफेस के ऊपर है। रिश्तेदारियां वगैरह मुझे नहीं पता इसके अंदर क्या है, और जहाँ जहाँ पे अफगान तालिबान है वहीं वहीं के ऊपर जो है पीटीपी के भी है, और ये हकानियत के इलाके के अंदर भी है। ये तो मुझे नहीं पता कि किस तरीके से हम इनको अलग तस्वर कर सकते हैं। अब बल्कि अभी तो ये भी बात हो रही है कि जो टीटीपी के जो सरकर्दा रहनुमा हैं, शायद उनको भी जिम्मेदारियां दी जाए अफगान रजीम के अंदर, तालिबान रजीम के अंदर। तो तालिबान रजीम को तालिबान रजीम नहीं कहना चाहिए जब तक पाकिस्तान उसको ऑफिशियली रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं कर लेता, या उसको लेजिटिमेसी वहाँ के अवाम की तरफ से सेंसरली नहीं मिल जाती। तो मेरा ख्याल है कि ओवर सिंप्लीफिकेशन पाकिस्तान के अंदर जो मसला है, और मीडिया के अंदर भी और पब्लिक ओपिनियन के अंदर भी, कि ओवर सिंप्लीफिकेशन इतनी ज्यादा है हर मसले की, और ये खतरनाक है। मेरा ख्याल है कि पाकिस्तान की थ्रेट परसेप्शन को, बाकी स्ट्रेटेजिक थ्रेट परसेप्शन को जाके ये डैमेज करती है, इफेक्ट करती है। एक्यूरेट थ्रेट परसेप्शन नहीं बन पाती कि आपको खतरा कहाँ से आने वाला है, किस किस्म का हो सकता है। इन चीजों को जब हम ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट में डाल के अपनी ख्वाहिशात के रंग के अंदर देखते हैं, तो मेरा ख्याल है कि फैक्चुअली चीजों को उसको एनालाइज करना, यही दुनिया का तरीका है। यही हमारे जो नेबर में चाइना है और बाकी जो हमारे अभी रिसेंट इत्तेहादी हैं, उनके जो कंसर्न्स हैं वो एविडेंस बेस्ड हैं। और ये सारी चीजें जिनका मैं जिक्र कर रहा हूँ, ये जाहिर है कि पूरी दुनिया की नजर के अंदर है। ये नहीं है कि सिर्फ वो पश्तो लैंग्वेज के अंदर या अरबी लैंग्वेज के अंदर कुछ उनकी खतो किताबत हुई और वो छपी, वो आई, इनके कम्युनिकेशन में आई, इकट्ठी तकरीरें की, और अभी मुल्क 7,000 लोग जो छोड़े गए हैं टीटीपी के अफगान जेलों से, उनका किस तरीके से इस्तेमाल किया है तालिबान ने। तो मुफ्ती मोहम्मद की वीडियोस और बाकी वीडियोस जिस तरीके की आई है, उसके बाद क्या फिर भी हमें आंखें बंद कर लेनी चाहिए, और हम अपनी थ्रेट को है, परसेप्शन को, वो 360 के दावी के ऊपर हमेशा घुमाते रहें, और इसको कहीं पे इसको 90 पे ही ना ला सके। मेरा ख्याल है कि इन चीजों को बहुत ही गौर से, तवज्जो से देखने की जरूरत है। जो हमारे जहनों के अंदर इबाहम है, पाकिस्तान का मफाद, सिक्योरिटी, वो सबसे अहम है, ना कि तालिबान रजीम ज्यादा।
Forward, we have another question. Sir, Jamil साहब, जो क्वेश्चन है कि रेलिवेंट है, जो हमें राना साहब से बात कर रहे थे, ये है कि how credible are Afghan Taliban assurances of not allowing use of Afghan soil against Pakistan? Can Pakistan face reverse century problem in future?
I think Venezuela after they are not credible as long as they do not prove it. See, the thing lies that unless they prove it, they are not credible. We should not trust that general statement that the soil will not be used against anybody. And in my opinion, the government of Pakistan is very clear about that statement. And we should be prepared. And the only way that we should be able to pressurize the Afghan government, it's an arrangement of give and take. If they want recognition from us, from Turkey, Iran, Pakistan, Russia, China, they have to pay a price. And what better price could Pakistan extricate then a commitment to not allow TTP to operate from there. So therefore, I do not think they would give it easily. They have their own issues. They are also, there are people in their border regions who are sympathetic to TTP. So they may also look at instability within their own country. So the better we negotiate and the better we have a collective bargaining system, the better results we get. But we should not at all expect them to disown the TTP.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, coming to I think we have already discussed the agenda of today's meeting. I am grateful to our panelists who spared time and they came here, and grateful to everyone who was there. Thank you very much.